Hello, my name is Tony. I will be talking about my clinical problem, which is the flu vaccine more effective than taking daily multivitamins for preventing a common cold? As we know, the flu and cold season comes around annually and affects nearly all of the United States population. With this, there has been several methods that have been in place, such as prevention and protection. This would include the flu vaccination and then bolstering the immune system. However, it is shown that practitioners do recommend that patients get the flu vaccination over the multivitamin. However, um, it is also shown that the multivitamin, some supplemental vitamins and minerals, do help bolster the immunity. With this in my practice, I plan to advise patients to take both based on their personal needs and care. How I would go about it is I would advise both methods at my practice. So instead of taking one or the other, why not both? So taking a regularly vaccination, which would be typically annually, along with the emphasis on developing a strong immune system. I would tell my patients the importance of having a strong immune system would be to protect us from such things as a cold, a flu, or even nowadays a coronavirus. By keeping our immune system strong, we're not letting in those germs, toxins, viruses, and such. So that's where the multivitamin would come into play to daily boost our immune system. I would then find local vaccine retailers, either online or in my state, and discuss with them how convenient or where can my patients get this flu vaccine. Can they get it? Can they get it at a pharmacy, doctor's office, local hospital? However it is convenient for them is what I would want to provide. As for myself, in the practice, I would encourage patients to also take the supplemental multivitamins and minerals, which I will make this readily available at my practice. And they can acquire it from my practice, other physicians' practices, or even multivitamin stores. The theoretical model that I chose is the longitudinal model to apply data for further patients. I chose this because it means to look at research over a course of time. So having patients take that multivitamin or get that vaccination and then observing them over 6 months to a year and having them follow up each month. So this involves a cohort study that I would conduct. It would be by dividing those who are immunocompromised with certain diseases, diabetes, autoimmune diseases, asthma, situations like that, and then having another group of healthy individuals, having them go through the health fairs after the vaccine and the multivitamin treatments or the naturopathic treatments. After we see the results, I see the results, I would assess which method is best for each respective group. So instead of both groups getting this, I would decide whether the flu vaccine is good for immunocompromised patients or whatnot. For internal evidence, I would record my symptoms, so recording the patient's symptoms, so they followed up every month. I would record their symptoms if they felt good or if they feel like the flu vaccination made them feel worse. I would record that in my practice. I would get vital signs to make sure the vaccination didn't increase a blood pressure or bring it down. And then lastly, I would just analyze the patient's subjective feelings. on the standardized scale, ask them, are they feeling any different? Do they feel better, more energized? Have they had um, less colds throughout the year? Ethical considerations that I would have at my practice is I would always want to ensure that each patient is willing to share the results for this study. That would be before we conduct the study, gather the group, have them all sign consent forms, tell them what would consist of the study, and then after that, I would also, in that consent form say, if you do have an allergic reaction to the flu vaccine, we would take them out of the study, get in medical treatment, or if you have, multivitamins just don't sit well with you, they make you feel worse, take them out of the study, and not share any of their information. Secondly, of course, I want to ensure that each patient is comfortable in my practice, comfortable sharing their results with each other, with each patient, with each provider, with you guys. I'd want to make sure that they're comfortable with that and any respective features that we may offer. I also do want in my practice to have the patients feel comfortable, for us nurses to advocate for them for getting the flu vaccine, making sure that they have the educational materials that they may not have, that they may not know about the vaccination, and really all about gaining trust with us and making them feel more comfortable making that step towards the vaccination and that multivitamin as well. Also, it is important to note that patient care can be affected by not getting the flu vaccination or getting the flu vaccination. There was one study that one hospital was evaluated for the impact of vaccinations on healthcare providers and hospitalized patients. Once that increase in immunization coverage, so flu vaccines were distributed over 4% to 67% over 12 flu seasons, During that time period, laboratory confirmed that cases among healthcare providers decreased from 42% to 9%. This is important for healthcare providers to get the flu vaccine, even nowadays the COVID vaccination, to protect their patients, but also protecting themselves. Same thing with the patients. They can protect themselves and we can protect ourselves as well if they do get that flu vaccination. And if we get it, protecting their families, their friends, and so forth. How I will evaluate outcomes for my project is I will, of course, emphasize on both vaccinations and multivitamin therapies, and the importance of them for each specific patient. I'll then determine how my patients compare against different patients who resorted to just one single treatment method and who may need only one single treatment method. I will then use a quantitative measure of how long it takes patients to get better to compare against other studies and research-based studies. Overall, I do feel there should be an improvement in care once flu vaccinations and multivitamins are given. I do believe that there should be improvement in that patient care in hospitals, doctors' offices, and of course, going over this course, seeing the cohort study, I will make adjustments to my practice accordingly. And lastly, at the end of it all, I will post an initial research study that shows my results in my practice and continue to periodically update that practice with both results and adjustments that I have made to the practice. Overall, getting that flu vaccination to help prevent a common cold and the flu is important. but also multivitamins to boost each patient's immune system, especially if they're immunocompromised, is important to not only preventing but protecting ourselves as well and the patients.